Right everyone, Hogmanay tomorrow, which means the day after that is the big one. It's the start of the January transfer window and we're expecting Celtic to be busy. Before we get on to all the transfer stuff though, just want to give a special mention to Scott MacDonald. Yes, 67 Hail Hale's very own Scott MacDonald, who was playing earlier today in the last 16 of the FFA Cup in Australia, which is basically the main domestic cup competition in Australia. He was playing for Gold Coast Knights, who he also manages. They're a second tier team, and they were playing against Melbourne Victory, who are currently the best team in Australia. They're top of the A-League. They were playing in the last 16 of the Cup, and Scott, who's manager, actually subbed himself on after 68 minutes. They actually ran Melbourne Victory, who are Ange's old team, obviously, very close, losing 2-1 in extra time. And to make matters even better, the game was live on BT Sport. Could not believe my luck when I came across that earlier. So we got to see Scott MacDonald, a 38-year-old Scott MacDonald playing, and he still had a bit about him. He was playing a bit deeper than he did in his Celtic days, more of a midfielder breaking up the play. But you still saw that kind of low centre of gravity that he was famous for in his days at Celtic. So you didn't get the result today, Scott, but you can be proud of your and your team's efforts in getting to the last 16 of the Cup and running a team like Melbourne Victory, who are, as I say, the best team in the country, so close. Moving on to transfer stuff. Now, the main name that people are getting really excited about over the last 24 hours is Maeda, who looks set to sign for Celtic in the very near future. The makeup of this deal is a little bit strange, a bit odd. It's not really what we're used to with regards to Celtic, so I'm just going to run you through what the situation is. The report that emerged, I think, last night came from Yahoo Japan, who are quite trusted with this whole thing. So they say that the deal for Maeda will be a 6-month loan deal at first, so a loan deal until the end of the season. Celtic will then be able to sign him for around £1.7 million in the summer. Now, it's reported that Maeda will travel to England before coming up to Scotland, perhaps to do a quarantine just like Ange. I think Carol Starfelt, I'm assuming Kyogo did as well. Quick explainer on Maeda. We've spoken about him at length in the past, and we're going to get our good friend Sam Robson on to chat about him in the next week or so anyway. But he has a speedy forward. He can also play on the left. He was the joint top scorer in the J1 League, the top flight in Japan, last season. So the season that's just finished in Japan, and most notably he played under Ange at Yokohama F Marinos, where he still is. So he's very similar to Kyogo in the way he plays, a real, a bundle of energy basically. When you watch him, he defends from the front. He really doesn't give defenders a minute to think. He's very, very like Kyogo, and I think those two could complement each other really well, both in terms of, the squad giving each other a bit of respite, but also if they're on the pitch at the same time, if we happen to be chasing a game. So he's versatile as well. As I say, he can play off the left, which is obviously something that Ange quite likes. As you would expect, a lot of people getting quite worked up about the fact that it is only a loan deal, fearing the worst. What happens if he comes? He's amazing, and then an English side buy him in the summer. I don't personally think it's anything to get too worried about. The reason I say that is that a Marinos fan on Twitter, Tony D, his name is, actually replied to our very own John McGinley. He tweeted him an interesting response, basically outlining that Marinos did a very similar deal for another player about 18 months ago. The player in question was Keita Endo. He joined them initially on a 1-year loan deal and was then signed permanently afterwards and is still at the club. Now, it goes without saying, but 18 months ago, Ange was still at Yokohama F Marinos, so he would have been involved in this sale. So I think it's fair to say that Ange won't be having the wool pulled over his eyes here with regards to the move for Maeda. He will know why this deal is beneficial from both a selling club's point of view and a buying club's point of view. It's also possible as well that Marinos are just wanting to cover themselves in case it doesn't work out for Maeda in Scotland, because if it doesn't work out for Maeda in Scotland, they would still have him on their books and he could come back and score a lot of goals for them. So that's perhaps just the reason, a bit of a safeguard. And obviously from a Celtic point of view as well, it's a bit of a safeguard, because if he comes to Scotland and is for some reason absolutely hopeless, then we've not forked out the best part of $2 million on him. So I look at it as a bit of insurance for both sides, and I don't think there'll be any problems. I think Maeda's going to be a great player for Celtic for the next 6 months, and then I think we'll sign him permanently. Marinos will get their money, we'll get a cracking player permanently. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. As I say, we're going to find out more about Maeda, all about his playing style from Sam Robson. I think that video will probably drop at the start of next year. Now, Maeda, of course, is unlikely to be the only Japanese player who joins Celtic next month. We're also talking Ryo Hatate from champions Kawasaki Frontale and Yosuke Ideguchi from Gamba Osaka. There's not really much of an update on either of these. We're kind of just waiting on another Yahoo Japan report saying that, you know, it's a done deal, but it certainly seems like both of these deals are going to happen. There was a wee bit of an interesting development in the last 24 hours with regards to Ideguchi. It seems like Gamba Osaka, who are his current club, have already looked at his replacement. They're talking about bringing in Mitsuki Saito, who is currently on loan at Rubin Kazan. So they're clearly planning for life after Ideguchi, which certainly suggests that he'll be moving on, and it certainly seems like it's going to be to Celtic. I would expect these players to come in nice and early, as much as we're just at the start of the winter break, and it maybe seems like, you know, we've got weeks and weeks of this to go. And we do to an extent, but when you consider these players have to be flown in from Japan and then they'll have to undergo some sort of a quarantine, and the fact that Celtic play Hibs in certainly less than 3 weeks. I don't know why I look at my watch every time I want to know the date, because it's not got the date on it, but we're talking less than 3 weeks until Celtic next play a game. So there's not a hell of a lot of time to get all these players in and bedded in. Obviously, Angel want them in training as soon as possible. So I expect these deals will be done pretty early in January, certainly in the first week or so. But the big question people are probably wanting to know, beyond these players, will Celtic do any more deals? I would probably suggest that we won't see any other new names coming in during the month of January. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, it'd be great to see more players coming in. We could see a couple of loan deals becoming permanent, though. Of course, I'm talking about Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers. There have been reports that Celtic are keen to make both of these players permanent Celtic players next month. It would cost Celtic around about £13 million, so quite a big outlay for this time in the season. Certainly value for money with both players, though. I think Cameron Carter-Vickers probably seems the most likely at this stage. Recently, Ange did say discussions will happen over the next couple of months. January gives us an opportunity to look at our squad again. I'm pretty relaxed about this whole CCV Jota thing. I think they'll both be permanent Celtic players at some stage. They both seem really happy playing for Celtic. I think Ange really likes them. The fans really like them as well. So it's everyone's kind of happy at the moment. And even if it doesn't get done next month, I'm not going to be massively concerned about these players becoming, you know, permanent Celtic players. I think it's going to happen at some stage. However, saying that, it would obviously be a massive boost if one or both of these guys were signed up next month. So I am foolishly predicting that will be the extent of Celtic's transfer business. So if you want to take me at my word, just stop the video now, go and enjoy your Thursday evening. But if you want to hang on, you'll maybe get some new names that could well become Celtic players at some stage. Now, the first one that, having just said that, isn't going to become a Celtic player at all is John Souttar. He has been mentioned as a potential Celtic signing. His contract at Hearts is up at the end of the season, but it seems like a move down south is going to be what happens there. Stoke City, Blackburn Rovers, Middlesbrough all been mentioned as the most likely destinations. Hannes Wolf, a name that we spoke about a month ago on channel. He's the kind of versatile attacking player that's currently playing, well, not playing very much, but he's currently contracted to Borussia Mönchengladbach. There was an update from Bild in Germany saying that he is basically done at that club. He's certain to leave the club in January, and time will tell whether Celtic are a possible destination for him to come to. He's pretty versatile, as I say. He can play off the left, he can play centrally, and I think given that we've got loads of injury concerns at the moment, we don't really know how long Jota's going to be out for. David Turnbull's going to miss a couple of months. I think this is a deal that Celtic could probably do with doing, even if it's just a loan. Another player that has been mentioned a bit is AZ Alkmaar winger Albert Gudmundsson. Like Suter, he is out of contract at the end of the season. We've been linked along with Rangers, or a couple of other clubs as well. I always kind of wonder if it's just lazy journalism whenever we're paired with Rangers. Not really convinced there's anything concrete in this. But he does have decent pedigree. He played against us earlier this season for Alkmaar, of course, in both legs, and he is an Iceland international. So that may be one to keep an eye on as well, given that he is out of contract at the end of the season. I think Celtic are really well organised going into this window. I don't see any of that rashness that we've seen in previous years when we've almost been going into the January window with our eyes closed and panicking and ending up with like Oliver Burks and Jeremy Toljans and John Joe Kennys and players like that on loan. I think this January, touch wood, Celtic are going to be far more organised. I think there's an argument that we've already done a lot of the business, and it's just a case of rubber stamping the deals coming in from Japan. I think these players are all liked by Ange. They'll all be known by Ange. And I think what's really important is that they're used to the way Ange plays, certainly in the case of Maeda and also Hatate, whose side play identically to Ange's team's play. I'm not sure about Ideguchi, but I'm guessing if Ange wants to bring him in, he obviously thinks he's a guy who can come in and make an immediate impact. So I think this could be a really positive month for Celtic. Ideally, we move on a couple of fringe players as well, maybe out on loan, Volleyball and goalie, Mikey Johnson, etc. can move out and get some game time. But I think promising stuff. Let's just hope Celtic live up to the expectations, because they're pretty high. Okay, that's us for today. We will be back for the final video of 2021 tomorrow. We're going to do a live one, 4 p.m. I did say 5 p.m. earlier in the week. It's going to be 4 p.m. A bit of fun to round off the year. Me, John, Stevie, awards, quizzes, general chat, maybe a few beers as well. So it would be amazing if you would join us for that. Take care, everyone, and hail, hail.